Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Alexander Isak, on Newcastle anger, Liverpool move, and the full picture. By the time Newcastle United were finally prepared to accept a British record transfer fee to sell 25-year-old Swedish superstar striker Alexander Isak to Liverpool, on transfer deadline day, the player had been made into something of a villain on Tyneside and in the wider British press. Ungrateful, disloyal, a man who simply hadn't done things the right way, the proper British way. And never mind Mark Gahey, the Liverpool transfer target everyone agreed did things the right way, in the end got screwed over by Crystal Palace for behaving properly in the eyes of the same British press. It was clear, of course, that the narrative was being pushed by Newcastle's brief journalists, amplified by ex-Newcastle pundits. And never mind Newcastle's pursuit of Brentford's Jon Wissa that looked an awful lot like Liverpool's pursuit of Isak, with Wissa in the Isak role. Not everyone has the full picture, but that's something for another day. Isak told the press while on duty this week with the Swedish national team when asked about this past summer's biggest transfer saga. I can't control everything that's said or written, but I'm happy that I became a Liverpool player. It's great that everything was settled and I can focus on playing football again. It's been a new situation for me, but you learn and develop mentally off the pitch as well. I have a positive feeling about the club team part that is coming. It has been educational, but I'm happy with the result. What information did emerge covering Isak's side of the story this past summer tended to be quickly buried by the very British grumbling over things that are simply not done, but it was clear from early on that the striker believed Newcastle had reneged on promises they had made to him. It was also made clear Isak had signaled a clear desire to move on from Newcastle last summer and had been convinced to give the club another season, a supposed final season. He then went on to have the best season of any striker in England and helped Newcastle qualify for the Champions League. The player believed he had shown loyalty despite broken promises. The player believed if a significant bid arrived, he would be allowed to depart. Then it became clear that wouldn't happen without an almighty push on his part. Given what happened to Gahey, it seems Isak made the right choice. What Jeremy Frimpong said to Alexander Isak after Liverpool transfer speaks volumes. Liverpool defender Jeremy Frimpong gave the perfect welcome to record-signing Alexander Isak after the Sweden international's move. The Reds splashed out $125 million to land the 25-year-old from Newcastle United in a British record transfer after a summer-long saga. Isak completed his move to Anfield on deadline day, penning a long-term deal before joining up with Jon Dahl Tomasson's Sweden side for the international break. Despite being banished from first-team training and missing the beginning of the Premier League season for the Magpies, the former Blackburn Rovers manager opted to select the country's number 9, affording him a late cameo during Monday's 2-0 defeat at Kosovo. The forward is likely to meet his new teammates this week ahead of the return of Premier League football when the Reds travel to newly promoted side Burnley. The official Liverpool YouTube channel opted to release their behind-the-scenes footage of the record arrival during the lull in the international break, offering an insight into how the day of Isak's signing went. As well as scans, tests, and traveling to and from the AXA training center in Kirkby, the footage showed a clip of Frimpong and Isak uniting with the Dutchman saying, "You're finally here," sharing a laugh and an embrace. Liverpool had to wait until the final day of the transfer window to land the forward after having a bid worth $110 million rejected earlier in the summer. Isak's unhappiness soon came to light, which sparked uncertainty surrounding his future before he released a bombshell statement on social media. "I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken," he wrote. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interests of everyone, not just myself. Alexander Isak says, not everything has been true over Liverpool transfer. Isak had not played in any capacity since the final day of last season, before he replaced Anthony Elanga with 18 minutes to play in Sweden's World Cup qualifier against Kosovo on Monday night. The 25-year-old therefore made his first outing as a Liverpool player, having finally completed his $125 million switch from Newcastle on deadline day. His efforts to leave St. James' Park were not short of controversy, but speaking to Fotbollskanalen after Sweden's shock 2-0 loss, Isak insisted, "Not everyone has the full picture of how things unfolded. It is what it is. Not everyone has the full picture, but that's a discussion for another day," he explained in the mixed zone in Pristina. "Right now there is a disappointment about this match and how it went, as well as a positive feeling about the club, part that is coming. I am happy to be a Liverpool player, and that is what I wanted." Isak made a positive contribution after coming on against Kosovo, including a brilliant take from a through ball which resulted in a chance well snuffed out by goalkeeper Arianet Muric. Having not featured in Sweden's opening game of the break, a 2-2 draw with Slovenia, it was determined that he could only play around 20 minutes. Regardless, it will be useful when it comes to his integration at Liverpool, and Isak expressed his gratitude at now being able to focus on football after a transfer summer. "I feel good. It's a bit difficult to answer right now after a loss like this, but it's clear that I feel good about the move," he continued. "The summer has been as it has been. A transfer summer. I had my wish to change clubs. I have done that now." On the fierce criticism he faced from Newcastle fans and the media, Isak replied, "It's part of the sport. There's a lot that I can't control. I'm glad that things are over and that I can focus on my club. There will be another day to discuss it, but it is clear not everything has been true. Not much, but there is a time and place for things. Right now the energy is on the national team and the disappointment after this match. That's part of football. I can't control everything that's said or written. I'm glad I became a Liverpool player. That's what I wanted." Alexander Isak on the scandalous transfer to Liverpool. Not everyone has the full picture. Alexander Isak openly spoke about his conflict-laden departure from Newcastle, which ended with a record transfer to Liverpool. The 25-year-old forward became part of a real transfer drama that lasted throughout the summer while he refused to train and play for the Magpies. Liverpool star Alexander Isak has commented openly on his conflict-laden departure from Newcastle Timothy Rogers Getty Images. Isak made a mysterious statement and assured that he would soon tell his version of events, Jonas Ekstrom, TT Shutterstock. The footballer was so determined to move to Anfield that he called for a strike and issued a sharp statement on social media, claiming that the promises made at St. James's Park were not fulfilled. Finally, his dream came true on the last day of the transfer window when Liverpool spent a record-breaking $130 million on his transfer. The former Real player signed a 6-year contract and soon embarked on an international mission. Isak's remarks. On his transfer, Isak commented on recent events for the first time after Sweden's surprising defeat to Kosovo. "I can't control what is said or written, but I am glad to have become a player for Liverpool." Isak confirmed that he faced hate after the move to Liverpool, but suggested that this is normal for professional athletes. "Unfortunately, that is something you have to live with. You can probably sort it out yourself." Furthermore, Isak cautiously responded to the question of whether he regrets the tense time. This transfer was significant for the Swedish footballer as he moved to one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Isak's transfer to Liverpool could symbolize a new chapter in his career, as well as the importance of stability and support in professional sports. Now a new challenge in the Premier League awaits him, and fans hope for successful performances in the new team. Ben Doak sends Andy Robertson message after being told off by former Liverpool teammate. Ben Doak said, "There is not a better player to play in front of than Andy Robertson," after the pair were praised for their link-up play against Belarus. Robertson started at left back in the World Cup qualifier, with Doak stationed further forward on the left side of Scotland's attack. It is a combination that Liverpool fans could have ended up seeing at Anfield, had Doak not been during the summer transfer window. Doak enhanced his reputation with a fruitful loan spell at Middlesbrough last season, which was cut short by injury. But rather than look to integrate him into Arne Slot's first team setup this term, the decision was taken for Doak to be sold permanently. As was the case with many of the Reds' summer sales, they inserted a buyback clause in the deal should they wish to bring Doak back to Anfield in the future. Despite losing Robertson as a club teammate, Doak is still a colleague of Robertson's at international level, and the pair had some kind words to say about one another after the game in Belarus, which Scotland won 2-0. Robertson said of Doak, "He's obviously a special talent. He's exciting. He wants to take people on at any given moment," which is brilliant. "I thought his decision-making today on the whole was good. I had to tell him off 1 or 2 times, but nothing like I had to used to. He was excellent, and you need players like that in the game today to just go and take somebody on, go and stretch them in behind. I thought he was excellent." Doak was a young player who was very highly regarded when Liverpool signed him as a teenager from Celtic in 2022, but he made just 10 appearances for the Reds prior to his sale. Although he played on the left side for Scotland against Belarus, he is primarily a right winger, and it is unlikely he would have taken Mohamed Salah's place in the Liverpool team anytime soon. Still, though, selling a player that cost Liverpool less than $1 million for a fee that could rise to $34 million is good business, whichever way you look at it, and Liverpool has effectively taken out an insurance policy with the inclusion of the buyback clause in the deal. Hopes for new Liverpool radio station on vacant site outside city centre could be dashed. In 2007, following a project by Liverpool John Moores University, Kensington Vision was set up and ran 3 temporary radio broadcasts. This went on to become Liverpool Community Radio and grew into a full-time online radio station based on Holt Road in Kensington. As the station developed, plans were formulated to further expand Kensington Vision and its offering. However, the company has been struck a blow in its desire to create a new home on a long vacant patch of land less than half a mile away. Despite a plea to the government, hopes for a project that would deliver a specially designed space for social enterprises now appear to be fading after changes to Liverpool Council's policy of transferring its assets into the community. In 2014, after the successful launch of the radio station, Kensington Vision CIC began expansion into other shops on the same block, setting up a bike recycling project, community bakery, and a community cafe. There had been hopes that under a community asset transfer, the CIC would be able to take on a long, vacated piece of land on nearby Prescott Road to further expand. A 2024 document called A New Vision for Kensington set out how the CIC would seek to secure a 25-year lease to house all of its projects under one roof in a purpose-built venue made from shipping containers. This would also include 3 Airbnb-style rooms for use by tourists. Steve Farragher, who established the CIC, said, "The rent is going to go up where we are now. We've been here for 14 years, but it could become difficult for us. I'm just looking for clarification on the land. The cafe fulfills a lot of community needs and we don't make a profit on it. We were offered other locations by the council, but we're Kensington Vision. The CIC applied to nominate the land under a community asset transfer and even sought the help of the government to get Liverpool Council to look at the proposals for the site, which has been out of use for almost 2 decades. Letters have been exchanged between the CIC and the Ministry for Housing, Communities, and Local Government in a bid to get the ball rolling. However, the plans may have hit a snag, with a response to Mr. Farragher coming from City Council property, officials indicating it may not be possible. An email seen by the LDRS said, "I can confirm that the land at Prescott Road has been removed from the Community Asset Transfer (SAT) program. This decision was made because the lease structure required for the site is not suitable under the terms of a CAT, and therefore the land cannot be progressed through that route. In addition, the Council is currently undertaking a wider review of land assets to align with its strategic housing priorities, and this site is included as part of that process. At this stage, there are no confirmed plans to sell the land on the open market, but future use will be considered in the context of this ongoing review." Thank you for watching. Like and comment, subscribe.